Hello and welcome to our very special Christmas assembly. One of the things I really look forward to at this time of the year is welcoming lots of you into our churches to celebrate the Christmas story, to hear the story read by you and to hear your amazing singing. And unfortunately we can't do that this year, so I'm going to share with you some of the Christmas story. And we've got some beautiful artwork thanks to the children at Abbey Court to help us with our story and our reflection. So we're going to start at the very beginning with a visit from an angel. Gabriel was an angel, a very busy angel. God decided that the time had come to send his son to the world, so he chose Gabriel to get everything ready. The first thing Gabriel did was to visit an old priest called Zachariah. He and his wife Elizabeth had no children of their own, and that made them very sad. One day, while Zachariah was working in the temple, Gabriel appeared to him, bright and shiny, glowing and gold. Zachariah had never seen an angel before. He was very frightened. His legs turned to jelly. He quivered and shivered and shook. "Don't be afraid," said Gabriel gently. "I am here to bring you good news. You and your wife have been praying for a child, and soon your prayers will be answered. You will have a baby, and you will call him John. And when he grows up, he will help the world get ready to meet God's own special son." That busy angel Gabriel carried on with his work. 6 months after Elizabeth discovered she was going to have a baby, the angel visited Mary, Elizabeth's cousin. Mary and Elizabeth were very different. Elizabeth lived in the south, near the big city of Jerusalem, but Mary lived further north in a little village called Nazareth. Elizabeth was quite old, but Mary was very young. Elizabeth had been married for many years, but Mary had never been married. She was engaged, however, to a carpenter called Joseph. Mary was in her house, dreaming of her wedding day and the life that she and Joseph would have. And that's when Gabriel appeared to her, bright and shiny, glowing and gold. "Hello, Mary," Gabriel said. "God is with you and wants to do something very special." Mary didn't know what to think. She'd never seen an angel before. God wanted to do something special for her. She couldn't imagine what that could be, and she was a bit scared to ask. The angel could see that she was scared. "Don't be afraid," he told her. "God has chosen you for something wonderful. He wants you to be the mother of a baby called Jesus." Gabriel smiled, a warm smile. "God's Spirit will visit you, like a welcome shadow on a warm summer's day." Mary was shaking. Her eyes were wide open, amazed. Her mouth dropped open too. She'd never heard anything like it. "I know this is hard to believe," Gabriel went on, "but God can do the most amazing things." Mary shut her eyes. She shut her mouth too. She looked like she was praying. "But what will Joseph think? He's bound to think the worst, and my parents too. Their plans will be ruined. And yet, God has a plan as well. He's chosen me to be a part of his plan. What can I do but say yes?" And so Mary nodded, eyes still shut, head bowed in prayer. "I'll do it. I will be the mother of God's son." And when she opened her eyes, the angel was gone. I wonder how it would feel to see an angel. Would you feel excited or would you feel scared? I wonder how Mary felt when she found out that she was going to have a baby. I wonder if you like surprises. Mary counted the months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It was almost time for her baby to be born. Mary counted the blankets, the towels, and then Mary smiled. Everything was ready. Ready for the birth of God's special son. However, somebody else was counting too, and all Mary's plans were about to be ruined. "It's the Emperor," sighed Joseph as he walked into the house. "He wants to count everyone in the country. Everyone! And to make it easy for him, we've got to go to my hometown." "Your hometown?" cried Mary. "But that means we have to go all the way to—" "Bethlehem," sighed Joseph. "It's a week's journey at least, and you've got the baby coming." "I can't do it," cried Mary, and the tears rolled down her cheeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Joseph counted the tears and wiped them away. "We must," he said gently. "It's the law." Then he held her and kissed her and added more gently, "God is with you, remember? That's what the angel told you. And if God is with you, he will help you make this journey. It's his promise. You can count on it." 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Mary counted the miles and the donkey's footsteps and the number of times the baby kicked inside her belly. It was a long trip, a hot trip, and she prayed it would be soon over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Mary knew because she counted that there were many more miles to go. But when they arrived at last in Bethlehem, Mary and Joseph looked for a place to stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. They knocked door after door, but every door the answer was the same. "We have no room here, you'll have to go away." Mary began to cry. "It's the baby," she wept. "The baby is coming. I need somewhere to rest." So Joseph looked up and down the street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. There they were at house number 10. He found a door he had missed. The door opened. The innkeeper smiled. But when Joseph asked if he had any room, the innkeeper shook his head. "Bethlehem is bursting," he said. "We have no room at all." "But my wife," Joseph pleaded. "My wife is about to have a baby." "I can see that," the innkeeper nodded. "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do." And he started to close the door. "But please," Joseph cried. "Please," Mary wept. And that's when the door swung open again. "There is a place," said the innkeeper, "behind the inn. It's nothing fancy, but it is warm, clean and dry, and you could have your baby there." So he led them to the stable, and there among the animals, Mary finally lay down, ready to give birth to God's Son. I wonder if you've ever been on a very long journey. I wonder if you've been on a difficult journey that you felt would never end. I wonder how Mary and Joseph felt being so far away from their family. I wonder at this time if there's family and friends you've not been able to see for a long time because of the coronavirus. It was nothing special, just an ordinary stable filled with ordinary stable sounds. The deep moo of a big black cow, the noisy ee-aw of a little donkey, the coo of a dove and the baa of a lamb, and the scritchy-scratchy of a spider skittering along the wall. But then there came another sound, an out of the ordinary sound, a sound that had never been heard in that stable before, the sharp whang whang of a newborn baby. It was Mary's baby, of course, the baby the angel Gabriel had promised her. But there was nothing ordinary about him. He was Jesus, God's own special son. The cow went moo, the donkey brayed ee-aw, the dove cooed, the lamb cried baa, and the spiders skittered scritchety-scratchety back into their webs. It was just an ordinary night in an ordinary stable, with ordinary stable sounds, but with one extraordinary newborn baby boy. I wonder how Mary felt having her baby born in a stable, surrounded by all those noisy animals. I wonder what are some of the things she could smell and what other noises she could hear. I wonder how it felt giving birth to such a special baby in that unusual place. I wonder if you've ever seen a newborn baby. How did it make you feel? This was one very special baby. That busy angel Gabriel had one more Christmas job to do. He had to tell somebody that the baby Jesus had been born. He could have told a powerful somebody, like the king. He could have told a religious somebody, like the high priest. Or he could have told a wealthy somebody, like the richest person in Bethlehem. But instead he told the shepherds, plain and ordinary somebodies like you and me. They were watching their sheep out on a hillside. It was late, it was dark, and some of them just wanted to drop off to sleep. And that's when Gabriel appeared, bright and shiny, glowing and gold, just as he had appeared to Mary and to Zechariah. "Don't be afraid," he said to the shepherds, and smiled when he realised how silly that sounded. Of course they were afraid. Who wouldn't be? They'd never seen an angel before, and so they were trembling and shaking, just like frightened sheep. "But I have good news for you," Gabriel explained. "God has sent someone very special to bring joy to this dark world, and tonight that someone has been born not far from here in Bethlehem. Go and you will find him, a baby, wrapped up and lying in a manger." And then, suddenly, Gabriel was not alone. The angels that joined him looked like sheep at first, bright against the dark sky. But as the shepherds watched, the angels spread their wings and began to sing, "Glory to God in the highest, and peace to all people on earth." And when they had finished, they disappeared, leaving the shepherds alone. It took no time at all. The shepherds leapt to their feet and went to Bethlehem. There they found Mary and Joseph and the baby in the manger. And when they described what they had seen to the innkeeper and his wife, and anyone who would listen, everyone wondered and was amazed. Everyone but Mary, that is, who nodded and smiled as if she'd expected just this sort of thing to happen. Shepherds were really stinky. They had nowhere else to live but outside. I wonder why the angels told those people about the baby Jesus. Why didn't he choose a king or a queen or a prime minister? But God chose the ordinary shepherds, because they were special too, just like you are special to God. Twinkle, twinkle went the stars, and the star watchers nodded and smiled. There's a pretty one, the first star watcher said. And look how brightly that one is shining, said the second. And the big one over there, cried a third. I don't think I've ever seen such a huge star. Twinkle, twinkle went the stars, and then one of the stars went zoom. Did you see that? Asked the first. Well, you couldn't miss it, said the second. What do you suppose it means? Wondered the third. Twinkle, twinkle went the stars, and the star watchers read and searched and scratched their heads. Well, it's not an earthquake, said the first. We can be grateful for that. And it's not a flood either, said the second. And that's when the third went, aha, I found it. A zooming star means that somewhere a king has been born. But where? There's no way to tell, said the third star watcher, unless we follow the star. Well, let's do it, said the first, putting on his hat. Sounds good to me, said the second, pulling on his coat. I'll need to find someone to mind the cat, said the third, but I'd like to come too. And so the star watchers gathered their servants, loaded their camels, and with the stars twinkling, they set off after that special star that went zoom. The zooming star led them all the way to Bethlehem. And when the star watchers arrived there, the star was waiting for them. But it was no longer zooming. Instead, it crept slowly, leading them through narrow streets of a town. And suddenly it stopped and hovered silently over a very ordinary looking house. Well, this must be the place, said the first star watcher. Doesn't look much like a palace, said the second. Well, we shall have to go in and see for ourselves, said the third, and he knocked politely on the door. An ordinary looking man opened the door, a man as ordinary as the house. We're very sorry, said the first star watcher. We've got the wrong place, I think. Forgive us for troubling you, apologised the second. But the star, whispered the third. The star is here. And then he turned to the man at the door. We're looking for a king, a newborn king, king of the Jews. I don't suppose there's a new baby here? And with that, the ordinary looking man smiled, a secret smile, a knowing smile, for this man was Joseph. As a matter of fact, we do, he said. Little Jesus is almost a year old now, but I think he's the one you're looking for. The star watchers filed into the house. The child was sitting on his mother's lap, playing with her fingers, and as soon as they saw him, they knew that they were in the right place. One by one, the star watchers fell to their knees before him and gave him presents. Presents they'd brought from the east. But they weren't the kind of presents most people give to babies. No rattles or building blocks or soft toys. They were presents fit for a king. Bright, shiny gold, a rich perfume called myrrh, and frankincense, a sweet-smelling oil. The baby patted the gold and the jar that held the oil, but when he nearly tipped over the bottle of perfume, his mother gently took his hand. Thank you, she said to the star watchers. It was very kind of you to come. And so the star watchers stood, bowed, and said their goodbyes. I wonder if you could go and visit the baby Jesus, what present would you give to him? Would you give a rattle or a teddy or something much more precious? In one of our favourite Christmas carols, it says in there, what could I give him, poor as I am? If I was a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I was a wise man, I would play my part. But what can I give him? I give my heart. Christmas may look very different for us all this year, but Jesus was still born, and that's something amazing to celebrate. So this Christmas, I pray that you will have a really lovely time with your family and those people you get to see. And just remember, when you're opening all those wonderful presents, the reason that we're celebrating a birth of a very, very special baby. So I'm just going to say a special prayer for you before I wish you a Merry Christmas. Dear God, we thank you so much for the birth of Jesus all those years ago. Thank you that he came for every single person in this world, those who've already been born and those who will be born. And I thank you that you love us so much that you sent us the most precious gift. And we pray for everyone watching this video that they will know how special they are and that they have a very peaceful and blessed Christmas. Amen. So all that's left for me to say is to have a very safe and blessed Christmas. Bye for now.